We have to go through all of this over again.
Yes.
Just ignore the man behind the curtain.
He's the Wizard of Oz.
With the bar.
So now we're going to make a sheet of labels all with the same one. That's really easy. If you hadn't noticed it before, you're going to start a new document. You're going to make sure you've got the 5160, which we've already set that up. It will stay on whatever document that you were on before. So you don't have to go back. It's like, oh, I don't know. I think we used a 5160. You can always go check. But if you go to labels, there it is, 5160. So I'm going to put in the address here. Which building? Well, I forget. They used the one from a particular. I'm just going to use David Lowery. It's not the correct one, but. All right, so I now have an address in here. In the one that you're doing for the homework, there was an address already in the document, and it would have pulled that in and already put it in the address box here. I'm going to select under the print a full page of the same label and hit new document, and then humor me because I'm going to have to go select the other new document. There it is. So we now have a new document that's an entire page of David Lowery. You can treat this the same as you would anything else and change things like lining up, font size, bolding, font colors, whatever it is you want to do. So you can do all of the same things that you would do in a Word document. I could do it cell by cell, like this one. Make this one blue, sorry. And I can make this one unbolded. So I can do all of that just like you would in a Word document. Any questions on that? All right, so the next thing they have, and forgive me, I'm going to close this document. We're going to start a new one. I know we lost it. Stop complaining to me. It's going to get old really quickly. So we're going to go to a new document. We're going to do File, New, and they ask you to go find under Letter. You'll notice that there's a number of, you can get resumes, education, holidays, flyers, cards. We're going to go to Letters. And under here, they wanted you to use the equity, but I'm pretty sure equity's gone now. It is. You can search Letters, equity, and you'll see it's not there. It was there last semester, but these are all of the templates are kept online. It's like a library. So what we're going to do is we're going to do File, New, and we're going to pick a fairly simple letter. And I'm just going to go with this modern, actually, I think I told folks to use blue.
How about that letterhead envelope? Now is that, no, that would be a traditional letterhead. Oh, there's an Easter one.
Cover letter blue. We're going to go with that one. Now we're going to hit create. And we're going to lose it. So let me go share it. Okay. So here we have this newly created document in a template. Now, one of the cool things about using a template is that these are fields. If I click in any of these fields, the entire field highlights. So if I click here, I'm just going to start typing my name. And if I type here, and same thing here.
Your uncle. I bought mattresses.
You know, so it's going to go through here and put all sorts of stuff. It put down Bickford Thomas R because on my computer in Office, I have already set up that that's who the user is. But I would not sign it that way. I would probably sign it.
Your like legal name.
Right. So, you know, you can go through this. It's a template. There are thousands of templates to pick from. Use the blue cover letter template. That's this one. It's fairly straightforward. So that's pretty much it for chapter 6. Any questions?
Nope.
How about if we look at chapter 7? Because I know you're all anxious to do that.
Wait, that was chapter 6?
That was chapter 6.
Oh, that was a short one.
It was pretty short.
Yes, it was.
Your chapter 8's really long.
Huh?
Nothing.
Joseph's complaining about chapter 8. Alright.
I'll complain whatever chapter. The chapter I'm complaining, okay?
It's okay.
So in chapter 7, it's all about inserting smart art and tables. So let's just start a new document and so I'm going to do this. We've got 17 people in the class. Actually, we've only got, how many in the classroom? Count them, Tom, quickly.
We have 4 in here live.
All right, and we got 3 people on the, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do insert table. So there's 4 in the classroom, 2, 3 online, and I'm going to add 1 for the header row, and I'm just going to do 2 columns wide. So here I can put in name, color, and then, you know, we can literally go down the list and say, you know, Tom B, doesn't matter, colorblind.
Colorblind. F.
Huron. What's your favorite color, Tom?
Blue.
Blue. Go safe. Jem, what's your favorite color? See, Jem he's wandered off, gone to get a drink. Jake, what's your favorite?
I am here.
Huh?
Gray.
Gray. Jim, what's your favorite color?
Jimmy.
Jimmy there.
Just put a random color down.
Hello, Patrick.
Maybe falling asleep.
Hello.
Green.
Just put a hot pink for all of
Green for me.
them.
I'll go red.
All right, and Will is red?
Yeah.
Okay, there. We got us our table.
We got 1 blank.
What?
You got 1 blank.
Jimmy.
You didn't get a color.
Oh, we have 1 blank one.
Yeah, blank. I didn't say blank.
You kind of sound like you said blanking away.
Okay,
Blank, blanket.
so Anyway, you'll notice that when we're in a table, up at the top, it treats it kind of like it does columns. Here's a, here's one, and then each of the rows.
First column. So you just made a table. Oh, so we're doing table.
I can't hear somebody. Who are you talking to?
I'm the you with the class. Yeah.
All right. So focus back. So we're working on tables. And when the table, you can highlight the table by going off to the side and highlighting the whole thing, but you can also get there by clicking the button at the top left corner. There's a little square with a four-sided arrow in it. And we can adjust the width of the rows. And we can also adjust the width of the rows up here in the ruler. We can do the same thing here. We can adjust the heights. All right, I'm trying to remember how to adjust all the right heights of all of them. Table properties, row, specify height. There we go. So you can set widths, heights. You can move between, just tab all the way through. You do a shift tab to go backwards. You can use the arrows to go up and down. But the arrows, once you're inside it, will go through all the letters or all the numbers. So if you want to, move from one cell to the next cell, you really want to use the tab function. You can always do Alt-Home to go to the beginning and Alt-End. Well, should take you to the end. I'm losing the cursor when I'm doing it. What else can you do with these things? Well, you can highlight an entire row by going up just above the top one, and you'll get an arrow down. That'll let you highlight it. If I wanted to add another column between this column and the second column, I can do one of two things. I can go up here, and you'll notice when I get right above the intersection between those two columns, I'll get a plus sign. And if I hit it, well, it just added it, but now all of it are too big. Oh. Hate it when this happens.
There you go. Maybe. Oh, there you go. Where's the end of your table?
Huh?
I'm wondering where the end of your table is, so you don't have like rows.
It went way off the deep end. It did. I went to table properties, went to columns. I'm bringing it back into a reasonable. Hey, where are you? Really annoying here. All right. Yeah, I know, and there's a way to shortcut this, and I'm just trying to find it.
Can you make all the cells like the same size?
You can. That wasn't correct. Sorry, give me a second. Well, it's not behaving.
Well, it doesn't like you. It's, oh, there you go. Oh, no, no, still, uh,
All right. Now I can add one there. We ended up with one that went right off the end of the page. We should be able to go to table properties. One of these should let it require it, so preferred width of the table would be, what, 6.5 inches? Or actually, let's make it 100%. So the preferred width will be 100% of the page. Now if I go and insert one here, it keeps it to within one page. When new things come up that you have had to deal with for a while, you've got to remember. So let's go down here. We can also go and insert table, and instead of doing like we did here, we can select quick tables for a number of different things.
oh, you can make calendars and.
Yep.
Cool.
There's
There's a
titles, different things. I can also just insert table, and this box pops up, and I can set the number of rows and columns, fix the column width to a particular amount, auto fit to the contents or auto fit to the window. Auto fitting to the window prevents it from doing what happened to us and going way off the edge of the page. So if I do this, I'm going to get 5 columns and 4 rows. Boom, there it is. And it has you do a couple of those. Okay, so applying some styles. We go to this. You'll notice we have table styles here. And there's quite a few to pick from. It asks you to do grid table 5 dark. And if I'm going to do this more, here's the grid table. And it wanted us to go down to grid table 5 and over to dark 5. There we go. So we did that automatically. Kind of cool.
goes under design.
So yeah, if you go to click back in here, you can scroll down through these, or you can just open them all with the bottom button.
Okay.
And I'll open them all up. You can even make new ones, designs, just come up with a new one, or modify the one that you're looking at. Said I really like that one, but I'm never going to use it. But I'd love it if it was in chartreuse. Pick something. You want to modify it.
You should.
I can. You just have to kind of look through and decide which look you like the best.
Yeah. I mean, your gradients, I guess, if you want to be like a fancy one.
Patriot.
Or if the outlines on it, you could probably bevel it or something.
Could do what?
You could probably put outlines or bevel it or put a shape on it or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could do. See, what else can we do? Borders. Oops. Hold on, I'm going to select the whole table. Custom borders. Oops. Well, that's really weird. I'm not sure why this looks the way it does.
Update maybe?
There we go.
These are your squiggles.
There you go. Isn't that pretty?
Fancy.
Woo! It looks like a chalkboard. We're at the races. I bet on horse number 5.
Right, and I just went up to borders and I selected oops, sorry. And I was able to select a border style, a border color, border thickness, pen color, and that gave me the particular look. This is also one of those places where you can, here's a plain table with alternating colors, which is very common. But you could also have done alternating colors with a title. Like that, so you could do whatever you wanted. Alternating colors is probably one of the most common features. I could also come in here too and change what the inside lines are. So these are white at the moment, but I could also do borders. Go to a single, oops, sorry. Go with I don't know, pick a color, that color, single line, and then click in here. So this is an internal vertical line. So every internal vertical line in that chart would get that. Every internal horizontal line would get that, and the outside is still the same. We hit OK. You'll notice we just replaced all of the inside lines with something different. Questions?
I don't like it. Kind of cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, you're really able to do kind of whatever you want. When it's time to select cells, you can, let me go down to it. I'm just going to go to a blank table here. Insert table. There we go. Carrots, peas, broccoli, corn, apples, oranges, bananas, and cherries. Well, whatever. So I can highlight a row, I can highlight a column, but if I just want to highlight one cell, I can double click in it, like, come on. It's gonna drive me crazy. There it goes. So I can highlight a single cell. You can always go to this right like that, where you get an arrow next to a cell, which is different than if you have the arrow on the side. Any place in this chart, you can also do a right mouse click, and it's going to tell you to insert columns, rows, or insert a cell. Inserting one cell in the middle of a chart, a table, is not going to give you things that you like. one thing you can do, I'm going to go ahead and put in a insert row above. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to highlight the entire row. And I'm going to merge it. And I can do that by,
It's all the option. Oh, there's merge cells. It's in the, right next to.
here, yep, yep. So I've got more than one cell highlighted and I can merge it. It's now treated like one cell. So
Fruits and veggies.
and I can then highlight that, and then maybe I want to just go to home. I want to center it, make it bold, do whatever I want. I can fill the, if I do that though, I might need to make,
Can you put word art into it?
no. You can do a lot, but you can't do that. I'm just going with white. So that's a very common thing that you want to do. The only problem with that is I can't now do a down arrow to select one column anymore because that top column has all of the columns in it. So if I want to highlight just those four, I have to select them, as an individual group. I can't use the down arrow option anymore. I could still use the row by row option, but you've got to do one or the other. If I insert column to the left, you notice how I now have a new column over here that's never been grouped with this one. And maybe I want to make this, and I'm going to merge this. I'm going to go back to layout, merge cells. And this one I'm going to, from favorite to least favorite of my favorites.
Can you put in column numbers if you want to, or like, I guess cell numbers if you want to put like 1 carrots, 2 peas, 3.
Not really. I mean, you can literally write, 1. You can, let me go backwards. I could do this, which is not uncommon. You can always center things, change them however you want. What else we got here? You can always click in a table and do Control All. Oops, sorry, not twice. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. Change the table layout. We talked about that a little bit. We're in a table here. We can go up to layout, and this is where it's another place to put rows and columns inserting. We can delete rows and columns. We can change the properties of the entire document. Again, what's the preferred width of this? Maybe we want to make it 80% of the width of the paper. See, just shrunk it to 80% of the available width. We can, well, I can view grid lines, but So look at this one right here, the second one that's in black and white. And you can turn the grid lines on or off, and you'll notice that where there aren't any lines, you'll see these little grid lines pop up. You don't see them here where it says Tom's favorite fruits and veg, because that's been merged into one cell, so there's no missing grid lines. I think probably the easier way to understand this would be to insert another table. We're going to go here, and we're going to have no border. Now you see the grid lines because there's no formatting above it. So if I go to layout,
So if you wanted like a list of something, but you didn't want to go and like look boxy or whatever, then you can do that.
well, okay, so here's a good, let's see what we got. We got 4x4, so let me just grab these, copy, paste. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, never mind. Carrots, peas, broccoli, corn, apples, oranges, bananas, and figs. Okay, so here I've got my list. These lines help me know where things are. But the way it's going to look when we print it on the paper is going to look like this.
Right, no, there's none.
Like there's nothing there except, and I could just as easily have done it by going, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
But this way it keeps it more orderly, so it looks like, you know.
yes, and it's a little easier to deal with. What if I wanted to do it centered? That would be very difficult to do in a Word document without a table.
The only other way I could see you doing it is like you wanted to use the tabs.
You would set center tabs, you know, for each one. So you know, do a center tab here, center tab, and you know, not in a table. You could do that. I can also go to this table here and go up to design and pick one of these. Actually, I'm going to just go with a. So there I've shaded it without any lines whatsoever. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with tables. You just have to decide which features you want with any one particular item. Questions? Got your inserting stuff, deleting stuff, rows, columns. We talked a little bit about merging. I'm just going to turn the grid lines back on. There we go. Don't really need to. If you try to merge something that's got material in more than one cell, what's going to happen is, and it'll show you, I'm going to merge it, and it, well, hey, it's not supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's smart of you.
Oh, that's just like changed in less than the last year. So now when you merge multiple cells, it just appends them. So this becomes carrots and apples. Now the question is, what happens if we unmerge it?
What's
Split the number of columns. One.
Was it 4 you had? Rows is 4.
Ah, see, but it put apples in the second one. So we'd have to do this to get it back, cut it and paste it back where it belongs. Same thing goes here. I think if we, sorry, if we unmerge this, split it, 3 columns, 1 row, okay. See, now that one, it did. Don't ask me.
Oh,
And the reason why this is still a tall row is there's an empty line right here underneath carrots. I'm just going to hit a backspace and it disappears. Well, hit it twice to get rid of that carriage return. If that makes, you know, I think you can probably see what I'm doing.
why would you want to split a table in case you decided you wanted a separate table for your favorite fruits and favorite vegetables then maybe?
To split it? Oh,
Option to say split table.
yeah. Good question. So one of the most likely reasons why you do this, hold on, let me undo that. I'm going to move this whole table. Bottom of the page. Oh, that didn't go well.
Okay.
Control, copy. There it goes. So we have this. I'm just going to add a couple of lines in here. Oh, still being ugly. So let's say this is showing up right here, or maybe what it's showing up. This would be a good example. There's no room in your document to get the entire thing on the top of the page, but you don't want to have 2 single rows on the second page. I could go right here someplace in the middle and say split the table and then just force that down to the next page. It's messing up the formatting, something horrible on this. So we'd have to go back and fix the borders, which we could do by doing that. Go to layout, sorry, design. Just change the color. But other than changing the color, I now have, I have the same table, but I've split it into 2. That's about the only time I can think of to split a table. You can go in here and, oh, where is it? Let's get rid of this. Well, give me a second. Oh, that's fine. So if I know in this I want to make the column a different width, I can either drag it like this. Oh, come on.
All right, now all the borders are getting messed up. Microsoft, you're good at it.
So if I want to make this column right here, oh, what did it do? I have no idea what happened there. If I want to make this column 2 exactly 1.5 inches, oh, come on. Yeah, now I'm going to have to go look it up. You should be able to, well, I mean, I know there's other ways. You should be able to set the width of a particular column on the ruler itself. But you can also table properties, column, and set it right here. Oops, 150. And now it should be exactly 1.5, it's not. All right, I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm sure once you read through it, you'll see it. I'm just missing it. Okay, we can also do fun things like changing. Get rid of this one. I don't like this one. I can right mouse click and do a delete table. There, it's all gone. I don't feel as bad anymore. Insert a new one. So let's say I want those not to be horizontal. I can go up here and change text directions.
You make them diagonal.
You know, not using this. I could also change whether they're going to be horizontal. Now, you'll notice one thing that happened is once we went to a vertical, we either need to make it a little longer so Wednesday fits, but it doesn't shrink back to fit the contents once you go with a horizontal. And you should be able to set that way up. See, this is set to automatically resize to fit contents. As soon as we changed it to horizontal again, it should have shrunk back down again. Not sure why it's not. You can always just go right here and shrink it like that. If we end up with something like this, where we've got very uneven rows, we can go in and tell it to distribute the rows evenly so that you end up with a nicer, cleaner looking. A lot will depend on why you ended up with wider, because if on Wednesday you wanted to have, you know, beef stroganoff with linguine and chocolate pie, then on Thursday all you were having were tacos. Oops.
No
You see-
pot, no dessert.
Huh?
I said no dessert.
Well, but you'll notice that as soon as Wednesday became taller, a greater height in that cell, it had to increase it.
Mm.
We really can't shrink it because then it wouldn't be showing all of what's inside of it.
I'm surprised it doesn't just go and keep the same size, but give you some kind of clue that, oh, there's hidden stuff underneath this.
Huh?
You know how in Excel, if you were to do that, make a table like this,
Yes.
it
You
would,
would tell it, to, your options would be to wrap it, extend it, or grow the cell with it. And in this case, they don't give us those choices. Although we could automatically turn that off. No, still won't let us. There we go. Pretty much, most of this is fairly straightforward. Boom, boom, boom. You can, why it wasn't doing this on the one with the wider border, I'm not sure. But if we just want to move a file, a table, we should just be able to cut it, go someplace, and paste it. Although this would be one of those good examples where you might want to make sure you've got a space above it and a space below it. So when you paste it, you're not sitting on top of the next one. There we go. We can also okay. And we can turn this into a table by doing convert to table, convert text to table right here. So if we go to insert table, convert to text, text to table, how many columns? Well, there were 4 based on that we used 4 tabs, and there's 4 words. And then it's seeing only 2 rows, so it's going to do that. We could have separated it by something other than tabs, but that's the easiest one to do. So there you go. You get a new table. We'll try that once more. I'll show you, and we're going to just do this and paste text. But in this case, what I'm going to do is separate these by commas. And now if I highlight this again and do an insert table, convert text to table, notice now it says separate the text at the commas. And it's going to give us the exact same table. So it depends on how the data was input to determine how it's going to come out. Questions about that? We did talk about the quick tables, insert table, quick tables, and then you could pick a number of you know, you want the calendar, you can have a calendar. Okay. Or not. Insert quick tables, calendar, there it goes. Now, you know, I never tried it to figure out, you know, what if you wanted February, and let's see, the first day of February is tomorrow. Not sure. That's a good question. Somebody can look that up and bring it to class next time. On the quick calendar, is there a default value that you can use with it?
31 days in February?
Joseph,
Yeah.
if you want to figure out if that particular feature, insert a calendar, can have the variable set on it. I've never used it, so somebody else here can go figure out if there's a way to change it, you know, and so say, look, I want February of 2019 and have it automatically put in the calendar, or whether or not it's just a mock-up that you would then have to change everything on. I don't have the answer to that, so you'll have to work at it.
Calendar's already wrong anyways.
All right. And so one of the options that we have in using, this is basically part of Excel embedded inside of Word, is that we can do some of the formulas that we want in here. And one of the ways that we can do that is to use the formula option, which is if you go to Layout, you'll find a formula box. And it's already looked at this and said, hey, let's do sum. But there's a number of different you know, ones that we could do. Well, let's see. All right, fine. I'll just leave it the way it is for now. And it's going to sum that. Thought I had a drop-down list of formulas. There we go. So here's a lot of the ones that it had. So if we didn't want to do the sum here, I'm sorry, cancel. So the sum of those three numbers was $27 or whatever, but we could also have done the average of the things that are above. Oops, sorry. So the well, that's not right.
Oh, they got some formula options.
Formula.
It is if it's counting that fourth row as a zero.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'm so used to
$6.76. Where's it even getting that?
There we go. Now I have to, let me get my calculator out. Still doesn't look right. 620 plus 12, 19 plus 856 plus 882 divided by 4. Yeah, see, I get 896, so I don't do your math homework on this. If you want math homework, go open Excel up and use it there.
Select it and then say sum.
Here, let me also make sure that this is. Oh, you get the full formula. Above average. Well, who knows? I'm not going to worry about it. So one of the things it has you do is, you're going to get a bunch of material. I know one of the ones that has you do is like, here's the list of current prices, and it wants you to increase them based on everybody's going to be bumped up 5% or something like that. So you have to do a formula, and it'll tell you how to do that so that, widget A costs $395. This year, next year, it's going to be 5% more. What's the price going to be? You'll be doing that. All right, and I'm going to leave you to figure out the inserting an Excel spreadsheet. Very simple. Just going to do an insert. Table from an Excel spreadsheet. So that's right on there. I haven't downloaded the file that they use in the book, so I'm not going to try to insert it here because it's not going to work very well. So next on, and we'll get this wrapped up. The next part is about smart art. It's project 5. And smart art, there's a number of things that you can do. You'll find it in the insert, and it's right up at the top under illustrations. And when you click on that, you get a whole bunch of things that you can pick from. Could be organizational charts, could be flow, it could be some kind of a cycle, could be a process. This leads to that, to this. Could be a pyramid structure. How many at this level, how many at that level, and on and on. You can do a picture part of a smart art, and you can even go to office.com and look up a lot more. So I'm just going to go to I'm going to pick a cycle, and I'm going to pick a segmented cycle because it's kind of cool looking. And I'm going to say, plants, feed the animals,
Water.
and they fertilize the plants. So we got a nice cycle going here. Of course, the animals also eat the plants. So who knows? So that's what they call a smart art. And there's so many varieties. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We could insert smart art. We might do a hierarchy. We pick an organizational chart and do a simple one here. President, assistant president.
You mean the vice president?
No, you are assuming I'm talking about our nation.
Oh, there's still a vice president.
There, see? I've never heard an assistant president, vice president. You do hear that too. Sorry. In a university, but you're right, vice president works. How about this? Chancellor. President. There, better?
Yeah.
And you can go into these. So I'm in the department chair and I do a right mouse click. And
I want to axe the person.
I can add a shape below. Oop. You know, and now we've got,
The council person.
yeah, you know. And then I can go back up to department chair and do another add shape below, and look. And I'm going to do Regis Philborn, whatever his name is. And I could keep doing that over and over, you know, and however I want to do it, until you end up with a, you know, a complete graph of your whatever it is you're trying to, you know, graph out. So that's smart art. And they're going to ask you to do a little bit with that. Oh, one of the other cool things is you can, when you're in one of these, I go to View, Outline. Where is it? There it is. So I right mouse clicked on my smart art and I said show text pane. And I can now go in here instead of having to go through the parts about adding Regis Philborn under there. I could just hit a return and do I always get names wrong. I can go up here and just do it, you know, same thing. You know. You go back under the chancellor, do a tab, and, you know, add, you know, another. So I can, you know, I can do a lot of editing fairly quickly here. The reason why president is showing with this little arrow instead of being a new department is because if I went to chancellor, one of the options was add a shape after, before, above, below, or add an assistant. So if I add an assistant, it showed up here. So actually, that's probably not the best place to put the president, because I don't think most presidents would want to be thought of as an assistant. So I could have gone into add a shape after. Oh, that didn't work either. Anyway, play with that. You get used to it. If you're doing a lot, then this text part of the organizational chart comes in really handy. And if you go to Smart Tools Design, you'll also see that text pane right over here. And if you go to the Add Shape, you'll see all the same options, you know, as a drop-down box. You could also, if I wanted to make the department chairs a different color, you know, I could do something like this. Or if I want to just change that, format the shape, go to fill, solid fill, and pick a different color. Piece of cake, right? I can't tell you how much to emphasize that, you know, right mouse click will find you 90% of what you need. just take the time to read through the options. So I could change the shape here. So maybe I want the president to have a rounded shape. And Bob Barker, it's going to be a trapezoid. You might want to make them all trapezoids, but you get the idea. All right. I think that's pretty much. So any questions on chapter 7? All the files are online. And I'll send an email out to everybody, but on Tuesday, we will have a practical exam. In other words, you're going to have an exam on Word that is similar to doing one of the homework assignments. I will have a list of instructions and a file for you to work on. And your score will be dependent on how well you can go through the steps. Sorry?
So what you're saying is we all have to be here on next Tuesday.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? Tuesday. Be here. All right. That's it. Thanks.
Be here or fail. I have dementia, short memory loss, done.
You're here every day.
I stumble in here, okay? I don't know what.
It's still recording. We'll get that on record.
Stumble.
So if you're not here, I don't believe you. I think you're faking it.
So if I'm not here, I'm good.